the world is a deep forest. After the Mahabharata war, Vidur told him a parable for Dhritarashtra's retirement, listening to which Dhritarashtra's attachment to the world was eradicated. This story is from the StriParva of Mahabharata. Dhritarashtra said, "Dear Vidur, the esoteric form of religion is known only by intellect, therefore, you describe to me the entire intellect path in detail." Vidur said, "Rajan, by saluting Lord Swayambhu, I describe that form of the deep forest in the form of the world, which is represented by great sages. It is said that a Brahman was traveling in a huge inaccessible forest. He reached the very inaccessible region of the forest, which was full of violent animals. The loud-roaring community of lions, tigers, elephants and bears had made the place extremely terrifying. The fiercely coming carnivorous creatures had surrounded that forest province from all sides and made it such that Yamraj, the lord of the death, would also tremble with fear. Oh, king, seeing that place, the Brahman's heart became very disturbed. He was thrilled and other kinds of disorders also started arising in his mind. He used to follow that forest, running here and there, searching in all directions to find refuge somewhere. Seeing the dens of those violent animals, he started running away in fear, but neither could get away from there nor did they leave him behind. In this way, he saw that the terrible forest was surrounded by a net from all sides, and a very terrible woman has kept it in her grip with both her arms. High as mountains and with 5-headed serpents and huge skyscraper trees, that vast forest was spreading. There was a well within that forest, which was filled on all sides by strong vines covered with grass. The Brahman fell into that hidden well. But because the creeper was covered with billows, he did not fall down by getting trapped in it, it remained hanging on top. Just as a huge jackfruit hangs tied in a tree, so the Brahman was hanging in that well with his feet on the top and his head facing at the bottom. There again another disturbance arose in front of him. He saw a mighty cobra sitting inside the well and saw a huge elephant standing by its mouth on the upper bank of the well, which had 6 faces and 12 legs. He was gradually growing in that well surrounded by vines and trees. On the small branches of the tree on which the Brahman was hanging, on the small twigs there was honeycomb, surrounded by honey bees of many forms, which were fierce and terrible in appearance. O best among the Bharats, the flies wanted to drink again and again that honey, which seemed to be delicious to all beings, on which the children were attracted. At that time many streams of that honey were flowing there, and that hanging man was continuously drinking that honey stream. Although he was in great trouble, his craving could not be quenched by drinking that honey. He always wanted to drink it again and again by being unsatisfied. Oh, king, even so, he has not dissatisfied with his troubled life. The hope of staying alive and drinking honey is rooted in that person's mind. The tree on which he was hanging, constantly being nibbled by black and white rats. Dhritarashtra said, first, there was great fear of many snakes within the inaccessible region of that forest. Second, there was fear of that frightful woman standing on the border. Third, fear was from snakes sitting under the well. Fourth, fear was from elephants standing near the mouth of the well. And fifth, fear by nibbling rats. He was also going to get great fear from the bees. It was said to be the 6th fear. In this way, The person who has fallen into the ocean of the world lives there surrounded by so many fears, yet he has the hope of life and dispassion does not arise in his mind. Dhritarashtra said, "Oh, Vidura, the best among the speakers, it's a big surprise." That Brahman had received great sorrow. Even though he was living there with great pain, how did he feel there and how did he get satisfaction? Where was the country where the poor Brahman lived in such a crisis? How could he get rid of that great fear? Tell me all this, then we will all do our best to get him out of there. I feel great pity for his salvation. Vidur said, "Oh, King, this is a parable told by the scholars of Moksha-tattva, understanding which, a person by imbibing dispassion, attains the fruit of virtue in the paradise and becomes free from the web of birth and death forever." What has been described as an inaccessible place is the world itself, and what has been called an inaccessible forest, this world is the deepest form. Those who are called snakes, they are different types of diseases. The giant woman who stood on the border of that forest, scholars tell her old age that destroys the man's form and radiance. The well which is mentioned in that forest is the body of the man. The huge serpent that resides below it is the deity of Kal, eternal time. It is the destroyer of all beings and the destroyer of all the bodies. The creeper which is said to have arisen in the middle of the well, by which the man was hanging, is the hope of the life and attachment to the body. Oh, King, the six-headed elephant which is moving towards that tree near the mouth of the well is considered as Samvatsara. It has 6 faces for 6 seasons and 12 legs for 12 months. The rats who were nibbling that creeper with utmost determination, those rats are described as the day and night of the intelligent learned beings. And what the flies have been told there are all wishes. The many streams which keep on flowing the springs of honey, they should known as karmas, actions, in which humans drown. The learned men thus know the movement of the world cycle, so they cut off all its bonds with the weapon of dispassion. That is why the wise men have imagined the path to womb as an allegory and considered deep world as forest. Oh, King, this is the world cycle of human beings and immovable and movable beings. A wise man should not be attached to it. Those who have direct or indirect physical and mental ailments, scholars have described them as snakes and violent creatures. Persecuted and restrained by these great predatory karmic animals, the retarded human does not get disturbed and develop dispassion from the world. Oh, King, the body of living entity made of flesh, bone, marrow, urine and stool, accompanied by sound, touch, form, taste and odor. The person who lives in this well of the body, even if he becomes successful in counteracting these diseases and make himself free, in the end, the old age destroys his beauty. Year, month, fortnight, day, night and evening keep on exploiting his form and age, respectively. These are prescribed representative of time factor. Foolish people do not know them in this form. It is the statement of the wise men that the Creator has drawn a line in the foreheads of all the living entity according to karma. Scholars say that the body of beings is like a chariot, sattva intellect, intelligence in goodness, as the charioteer, the senses are the horses and the mind is the bridle. The man who follows the motion of those horses running voluntarily without any discrimination, he moves like a wheel in this worldly wheel. But those who restrains and control those sense-like horses by intellect, they never return to this world, because they have attained wisdom. Those who are not under the influence of attachment even while roaming in this world like wheel, they do not have to wander in the world again. Those who wander in the world get this sorrow. Therefore, a wise man must make efforts make themselves free from this worldly bondage. This matter should never be neglected, otherwise this world becomes very big by spreading its hundreds of branches. Oh! King, one who is free from zeal, anger and greed, fully contented and truthful, he attains peace. This world is regarded as chariot and bestower of Yamloka, due to which foolish people are fascinated. Oh! King, the misery that you have received is available to every ignorant person. The one whose greed and craving has increased, he gets kingdom, friends and sons, which ultimately becomes the cause of his misery. A sage man should control his mind and get the great medicine of knowledge, which is extremely rare. By the medicine of knowledge one must destroy the great disease known as sorrow. Courage, wealth, wife and even good friends cannot make one free from misery, in the same way as a mind that is firmly in restraint can. For this, modesty should be attained by keeping friendship everywhere. Dhamma, restraint of the senses, tyaga, renunciation from the mind, and apramad, renunciation of laziness in the performance of duty. These are the three horses that lead us to the abode of the Supreme Soul. The man who takes hold of the bridle of modesty and rides on a chariot of the form of mind, judging by these three horses, he leaves the fear of death and goes to Brahmloka. Oh! King, one who gives fearlessness to all beings, he goes to the imperishable supreme abode of Lord Vishnu. The fruit that a man gets from fearlessness, he cannot get even by performing thousands of sacrifices and fasting regularly. Oh! Bharat, it can be said with certainty that there is nothing more dear to living beings than its soul. That's why no creature likes to die. Therefore, a learned man should show mercy on all beings. Those fools who are engrossed in any kind of attachment, who are tied by the web of the intellect, whose eyesight is gross, they keep wandering in different species. Oh! King, knowing that a subtle-sighted wise man attains the eternal Brahman, you should perform bodily rites of your dead relatives. By this you will get good results. Take home message from the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all are places of misery wherein repeated birth and death take place. But one who attains to my abode, O son of Kunti, never takes birth again. Bhagavad Gita 8:16. One who is beyond duality and doubt, whose mind is engaged within, who is always busy working for the welfare of all sentient beings, and who is free from all sins, achieves liberation in the Supreme. Bhagavad Gita 5:25.